Welcome to another episode of Reading Between the Words. What does that really mean? It means that the author themselves tell you their story. They tell you why they wrote the book, what they want you to get out of it, and all the other little details and secrets that you wouldn't normally get to know. So let's join in and listen.
Thank you. One book a week, and probably more if we can do it. And thank you, Trina, for being here. Trina and I met, was it just for volume 1 of the Giving book, or had we met before then?
We had met I think we had met in a Facebook group before then. I think it was quite a few months before.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
believe.
Yeah. And
Yes.
it was great. You wrote in the first book. I know you were just kind of unsure about doing stuff. You wrote in the second book, and now you have your own book. I am just thrilled. And you have your own podcast.
I do,
YouTube
yes.
channel. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was interesting because I remember meeting you, and I remember that you reached out to me a few months after. We were chatting on Facebook Messenger, and you mentioned that I was a writer, and I was like, no, I'm not a writer. And you said to me, you're a writer. I said, no, I'm not a writer, but thanks. And you're like, I read your posts. You're a writer, and I don't think that you know you're a writer yet. And that got my attention. So yeah, and then you invited me to write in the Giving book.
Yeah, the volume 1. Let's see, here we go. I've got volume 3 back. Oh, I don't have my microphone. Sorry, people, that was rude. I've got here it is, volume 1 that we started with.
Yeah.
That's one little heart in the hand. There we go. And then you were gracious enough, and everybody's pictures on the back, and then you're gracious enough to write in volume 2, which is 2 hearts and 4 hands, I guess. And that one we got to go to number 1 not because that was the purpose of the Giving book, but some of the authors wanted to do that. And it's like, well, this is the Giving book. If they want to do that, let's see if we can do it. And it did. And yeah, you're definitely on that one. Oh, you're in all 3 of them. There you are.
Third, yeah.
Right
again.
there. Yeah. So in volume 3, three of them. And that one went to number 1 too. That was so great. I love that. So we've got volume 4. I didn't even ask if you wanted to be in volume 4. There's still time.
I might have to send something. Look through my files.
Fun. I really love the memoir you did of your dad. That was just so cool. And it was cool that your dad drove those caterpillars like my dad did. And it was like, oh, that's a nice connection.
Yeah, it was. That was really neat, wasn't it? Yeah. They were very similar.
And I am so surprised. I shouldn't be by now. We're on volume 4, but every time people from all over the world are sending in stories. And it's like everybody got together and said, okay, let's make the theme this, or let's make the theme that. And the stories just meshed together. So I'm really excited about this one again, getting it out. And I was hoping to get it out in October. It's not going to happen because I still have more people who are still wanting to put stories in, and I have to have a certain number of pages in order to get it done. And I think I'm almost there, but I don't want to deny these other people of, giving them the chance to have their whatever it is, whether it's the artwork, the story, the poetry, the little quotes, anything that they have. I shouldn't say little. I mean, there's not very many words is what I meant by that.
Yeah.
It's still real meaningful.
Yeah,
that is photography. Yeah.
It's awesome. I'll have to look through. I might have a couple stories there in my files that haven't been published. I'll have a look for you. Yeah. I've been so focused on because I have 2 books on the go, but one I kind of put on pause while I started writing my nonfiction here. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And I loved what you were talking about at first that before the show started, about why you want to write and the process of going through of tired of being afraid of everything, because for those who don't know, here I am, I'm jumping ahead of things. Let's start over. Trina, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you? Who is author Trina?
All right, yeah. Getting away with everything here, hey? Yeah. So hi everybody. I'm Trina Brettnell. I am an author and I also host a YouTube channel for INFJ personality types. So I'm an INFJ myself, and I started a YouTube channel to help people like myself, INFJs and autistic INFJs, because I'm also autistic. And I just know from years of working on myself, doing a whole bunch of personal development, there isn't a lot of resources out there for our personality type, and we're very unique. So a lot of the things that work for other people don't always work for us. So I wanted to start a channel, a place where people could come for resources. So I just, I couldn't find one, so I started one myself. And with that, I had quite a few friends reaching out to me. They were bugging me for quite a few years that I should write a book to help people like myself, because it would be so much help. And I kept saying, no, not for me. I can't do that. I really enjoy writing fiction, like dark fantasy. That's where my passion is, right? So it kept coming up, and I'm like, you know what? I think I need to follow this because it keeps coming up in my life. So I started writing my book, which is my story, which was scary, so scary. Being vulnerable is very scary. And I kept saying,
I haven't written mine.
Yeah. And I kept saying to my friends, like, oh, people don't want to hear my story. And they're like, yeah, we do. We want to know how you got from point A to point B. Like, there's a whole bunch missing. So I started writing it, and it became very therapeutic, and I enjoyed every step of the way writing it. So
that's the way it should be with writing. Yeah.
I discovered once I started writing it, it wasn't near as scary as I thought it would be.
Awesome. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I've got one book that I've written. I actually published it. This was before I even knew what to do for writing. I just thought, oh, I'll write my stories, put on Amazon, it'll sell, right? That's what everybody thinks. It doesn't work that way. So I pulled them off of Amazon because I realized I had never had them edited. The covers did not go with what was inside the story. I mean, there were some big mistakes I'd made, but I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. But when I was writing it, I really fell in love with the characters. I mean, I cried with them. I chuckled with them. We're in the camp trailer still, and I'm riding back there, and I'm giggling and I'm laughing. And my husband says, "What are you watching?" I go, "Nothing. I'm writing my book, and it's really good." It's like, oh, what? But yeah, that's how we do it, isn't it?
It is. That's exactly how we do it. Yeah. Actually, I have a funny story related to that.
Oh, good.
I injured my shoulders, across the top of my shoulders. And I think the injury was because I was always scared and tensed up all the time, my entire life, right? And I damaged my tendons across the tops of my shoulders. When I write, I have to be very careful because it will irritate them, especially if it's in a good, scary spot of my story, like lots of action going on, because I tense up.
Yeah.
And I was in a good spot on my story. This was my fiction story. And I'm just in there because we become our characters, right? When you're writing, we become that character.
That's true. I never thought of that. Yeah.
All those emotions that our character is having, and we're taking those emotions and we're putting them on paper so that people can experience them too, but we're experiencing them firsthand. And my husband came up behind me and he touched my shoulders. He said, "You're tensed up again. You're going to hurt." And he scared the living daylights out of me. I just about knocked my laptop off the counter because I stand to type lots. And my heart was going, like, oh my gosh, you scared me so bad. It was in a good spot. And we just had to stand there and laugh because it was so funny. I was just right in that moment. Hey, so
that's funny.
Yeah.
I remember I've watched a couple of shows. One was about Charles Dickens writing his story, Oliver Twist, I think it was, or Scrooge, I don't remember which one. Anyways, he's in this upstairs room and these characters come to life and he's talking with them and he's interacting with them. And it's like, yeah, I mean, because these are a brand new creation. They've never existed before. So you have to make them come to life. You have to have them show it. It was like Beatrix Potter, who wrote the Peter Rabbit books, and her little rabbits are bouncing around. She's scolding them and talking to them, and all this different things. It's just, that was kind of a heartbreaking story. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's just, you have to give them life, because if somebody's reading it, they want those characters to have life. And if you can't give it to them, the readers aren't going to get it. They don't know how to make the story come to life. That's our job.
That's
And
exactly it. Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
why I like children's books, is because we can really be creative and things don't
Yeah.
have to make sense.
Yeah. And you know what? I haven't really written a children's book. My son and I, he's 6, he'll be 7 here right away. Him and I are working on a
Nice.
book together. We're writing it
Awesome.
together. It's going slow because I only do it when he wants to, because I want to keep it fun.
Yes.
But we're having a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's
So
so cool. I
yeah.
was just talking with a friend of mine, because I'm launching my granddaughter's book next Wednesday, and it's Do Not Take My Leaves. And when she was here this summer, I'm going through my phone, and she's, at this desk over here working on stuff, and I'm on my desk, and I'm scrolling through looking for something, and I have this place called Color Notes, and I can make them any color that I want to, and they stay in this nice folder. It's just like Post-it notes that are in one place, and I'm going through it and I'm looking, it's like, looky, you wanted to write a story about a tree losing its leaves. And that's all it said on there. And she goes, yeah, we should finish that. So while she was here, we finish the story. I mean, it was mostly her. And I'm like, well, that doesn't quite make sense for kids that are this age, and because you have to write your story for the age that is going to read it. And so we got it done. And then we're going through, and we're actually using AI to do the pictures, because, she didn't have much time here. So I couldn't wait, several months to have someone draw it all. And so we had some pictures that were really good. They were fun. They looked like something for a kid's book. Then we got the cover, and we found this just amazing AI and we went through Canva. I'll definitely give them a plug, because they did a good job. And here was this amazing tree. And it's like, this is so great. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the story. And as we're going about doing our work, I'm seeing in my mind this cover, and I'm opening the pages, and it's like, I'm so disappointed, because here's this great cover for this tree, and it's perfect for the title. And you open it up, and there's like, I said, we have to change this. And she goes, what are you talking about? So I said, look. So I showed her the cover. Then I showed her the page of one of the pages in the book, and she goes, oh yeah, we definitely need to change that. So we did. We did some Photoshop work and went through that, and we actually came up with some really great pictures for it. It's a fun book. The little tree doesn't want to let go of its leaves in the fall. So yeah, working with your child or with a grandchild on it, that's a great way to get them interested in not just doing something together, but in writing or in reading or understanding the process that goes on behind it, so they can appreciate it more.
Yeah, it really is. And for my son, like I see a lot of myself in him.
Mhm.
Um, and I had a lot of struggles growing up, right? Like I was very
Yeah.
different from the other kids, and so is he. He has a hard time really relating to them. So I wanted him to accept who he is, because for years I couldn't accept who I was. Like I was always feeling like there was something wrong with me. I was broken, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't
Yeah.
want that for him. So I wanted to show him, like, you can open up this amazing brain that you have that is so unique, and you have different perspectives for a reason, and this is what it will do for you. So we're
That's
writing,
awesome.
it's about our basset hound. Beazle is her name,
Oh,
and a magical pickle. So yeah,
I
we're
love
having fun with
that.
it.
I love
Yeah,
that. Oh, that's great. So tell us about your book. What's
my book.
the fiction is one you're doing now. What did you decide? might be the title for it?
For my nonfiction, that's my story. I'm thinking I'm going to call it INFJ's Unfiltered, Thriving, Not Just Surviving.
Awesome. Awesome
I
title.
think that's what I'm going to call it. Yeah,
Yeah.
my website is called INFJ's Unfiltered because it's
Okay.
all about, I just talk all about this personality type without filtering. Like I just,
Good.
I'm not saying like I'm swearing and stuff like that, but I just talk about topics that sometimes we just don't really want to talk about. So
Yeah.
it's unfiltered, right? And the
And
book
it's hard to talk about those things
in the
because
book is,
it's not
yeah, and
accepted.
it is, yeah. In the book, I found that title to be, I really think that's what I'm going to go with it because the book is talking a lot about things I didn't want to talk about, right? Because
Yeah.
it's my life. And like that's being very vulnerable and it's scary to do that. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was
That's
once I
great.
started writing it, I found that it's actually very therapeutic and I enjoyed it. It wasn't so scary
Nice.
after all. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, isn't that something that taking that first step through your fear is like, it's scary, but I want to do this, so I'm going to give it a try. And it doesn't hurt to try. Give it a
Yeah,
try. See if
exactly.
it
Right.
works, you know. I don't
See
know
where it's going
how
to
many
go.
books I tried for years. And I finally decided I'm not a writer because I couldn't get past the first chapter. It's like I didn't have anything else to say. But it was because what I was writing about were things that I hadn't really experienced myself, except on the
Ah,
outside. And so
yes.
sometimes it's harder to write about that. So tell us about your
Yes,
fiction
yeah.
book.
My fiction book is a dark fantasy. It's for young adults. So it's
Okay,
dark fantasy, sci-fi,
nice.
post-apocalyptic.
Oh,
Yeah. So what had happened was it was a few nuclear bombs went off and the world just kind of stopped
yeah,
and lots of people died and things mutated. And this is 20 years after that. That's when my book starts, is 20 years after that. And it's a
right.
doctor, it's her story. And she was a surgeon when before everything started. And yeah, it's her story of that she has to go through things she doesn't want to do to save her son, who
Isn't that
actually
something?
he's the key to it all. Her son is the key to stopping it all because
Wow.
it's yeah, I mean there's obviously a villain, right?
Yeah,
So
you have to have a villain. You
you have
do.
to have a villain and he knows how to stop the villain, but he's neurodivergent, he's autistic, and he's for the most part nonverbal, but all of a sudden he starts talking, and when he does talk, it's like he's reciting what he's hearing over a microphone, like over a CB
Wow.
radio. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's because it's telepathy. He knows what the villain is doing and thinking, and that's what he's reciting, but they don't know
Oh,
that yet.
wow. Oh,
So
wow. That sounds interesting.
yeah, so in her journey, she meets up with this guy. So they live way up in the mountains in their trees. They have to live high up because things have mutated and it's very dangerous to live on the ground. So they've
Okay.
built their community up in the trees. It's called treetops. And she met this guy. She actually saved his life. And she brings him back. And what he did back before the world ended was he worked with special needs kids. So he
Oh,
is the
wow.
key to working with her son to be able to figure out what's going on. So
Isn't
yeah,
that
that's the
something?
gist of it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So it's
hope
her
you don't leave
journey.
out the mom factor in there because moms of kids seem to be a little more intuitive that, there's something else going on there. Because we see it with our own
Yes.
kids. It's like, the doctor or specialist or whatever says, oh, this, and this. And it's like, you better think again because that's not, well, it goes with my child. Yeah.
Yes, actually, yeah, that part's written in there because I thought, okay,
Oh, good.
if I was her, how would I see this? So a friend of hers who helped build this community is also a doctor. And
Oh,
he was telling her, oh, it's just, he's coming into his teens, it's hormones, it's an overactive imagination. Let's just be happy that he's starting to talk, right? And she kept saying, no, I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
it's not just that. There's something else going
Awesome.
on.
Good for
So,
her. Good for her.
yeah.
When you're writing this, do you think of it like a movie, like you're seeing it in front of you on a TV screen, or is it
Yeah.
different?
It's like a TV screen. I've been
Yeah.
writing this story for years in my head,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And I'm sure you probably know what I mean when we write it in our head.
Yeah.
And it would
It's a
keep
lot
me
of
up at
process
night.
there. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's when you need to get it on paper for sure
Yeah.
and
It
get it
would
out
keep
of
me up
there.
at night because I would be
Yeah.
writing this story, right? And then when I met you and you're like, no, you're a writer. And I
Oh,
shared a
you
little
had
bit of
such
this
amazing
story.
things to say.
Yeah. And I shared a little bit of this story with you, and you're like, you need to write this. We need to know how it ends. And
Yes.
so I started writing it, and I discovered I could sleep. Once I
Oh,
started writing
good.
it, I could sleep because I was no longer writing it all night long in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So
finally had a
I
place
see
to
it.
put it.
It's kind of like a movie mixed with memories, if that
Oh,
makes any
wow.
sense. Because
Yeah.
that's the best I could describe it. What's really interesting is I took a creative writing course through University of Toronto, and the instructor said to pay attention because quite often our main characters are essentially us. So I
Oh, that's
went back and I
interesting.
looked in my story and I paid attention, and it is like I'm not a doctor by any means. I'm
Hmm.
not a doctor, but what she struggles with, because at the beginning of the book, she really lacks self-confidence from her childhood, right?
Oh,
And she
yeah.
has to gain that self-confidence and start to see herself in a complete different light, and see that she's stronger than she thought she could ever be for her son, right? And I'm like,
Awesome.
wow, yeah, like I can relate to a lot of this character. She is me in a sense. So
That's awesome. I
it
love
was
it.
really
Yeah.
neat.
And my
Yeah.
little book, Mortis Jade, which is going to have a different title. Yeah. I mean, I wrote it. This is a child, but there is a lot of me and my experiences in there. Our time is already up. I know
Mhm.
these short little half-hour ones just are not enough time. So tell us again how people can get a hold of you and see when your book's going to come out.
Sure. Yeah. So you can get a hold of me over on YouTube. My channel is Trina Brettnell. I am also on Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram, and all of them, my handle is just Trina Brettnell, my name.
Okay.
So that's the
And you do you
easiest
have a
way to get a hold of
website?
me.
Do
I
you
do have a website.
yeah,
I just launched it. It is infjsunfiltered.ca.
nice. .ca for
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you so much for being here, Trina. I really appreciate it. And
Well,
when you
thanks for
get the
having
books
me.
done, you've got to come back.
Yes, for sure. I will keep in touch with you for sure. Yes, and come back when I
Okay.
get that book published.
Yes, definitely. All right.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time, our audience on or hear from me next time on 52 plus new books. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
All right. I'll let you know when this comes out, and hopefully it should be out next week.
Sounds good. Yeah. Do you do all your own editing?
Um, some of it. I do. I actually have an editor for my children's books. The one that my granddaughter and I did, I didn't because it was just very, very simple.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and normally I would because I'm sure they'll catch one, two things that I didn't catch. But yeah, I always try to find an editor. I go through it myself and I read it again. The editor goes through it. You read it after the editor because you can have 20 eyes on it and you're still going to
You're
find a
still gonna
mistake.
catch
It's
it.
just
Yeah.
just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you
Yeah.
need editors, let me know. I've got a whole list of them.
Yeah. I'm using Grammarly right now, so
Oh, good, good. I love Grammarly. Yeah,
I do
that helps
too. The
so
only
much.
thing is it lacks the human touch.
Yes,
So sometimes the way I
I have to
worded it,
correct it.
I want it worded that way because that's putting my emotion in there. Whereas Grammarly is like, oh, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, it
Yeah,
does, I
it
think.
is if you're human.
If you're human, it does. No, it needs to be worded this way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's nice thing with an editor is they'll help keep your voice in it too.
yeah,
So,
because they're human.
yep. Okay, well, we'll talk with you later. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. We'll do this
Yeah,
again.
yeah, we need to talk more often.
Yes. Yeah, it's just so busy all the time though, right?
It is. Okay,
It
we'll
is.
talk to you
And
later,
I will
Trina.
get back to you because I think I have a story for you
Okay, good.
for your book.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. I'd love that. Yeah.
I'm just gonna run through it one more time for editing, make sure, and then I'll send it your way. Yeah.
Okay,
What is
sounds
the
good.
theme of the book? Is there a specific theme?
Not this time. Nope.
Okay, good.
I'm just
Because this
letting
is
people
about
submit their stories.
guardian angels. So.
It's going to fit perfectly.
Oh,
It is.
awesome.
I
Okay,
love
yeah.
it. All
I
righty,
will
we'll
get
talk to
that
you
done to
later.
you and hopefully send it to you by the end of this week.
Okay, sounds good. I've just got someone else I've got to talk to,
Okay.
so otherwise I would stay. I would not
That's
let you
okay.
go.
I'll let you go. Okay, talk to you
Okay,
soon. Bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Reading Between the Words. Go to www.readingbetweenthewords.com.